Well, a major victory tonight for Boeing and for American workers. Congressional investigators are now recommending that the Air Force reopen the bidding for that $35 billion contract to build refueling tankers. The Department of Defense originally awarding that contract to Northrop Grumman and a European consortium that builds Airbus. Lisa Sylvester has our report.
So I want to start this press conference with one word: vindication.
Lawmakers from Washington State and Kansas unfurled a small banner as they took their victory lap. They had criticized the Air Force's decision to award a $35 billion contract to build the next generation of refueling tankers to a European group partnered with Northrop Grumman instead of U.S.-based Boeing. A new Government Accountability Office report concluded that the Air Force had made a number of significant errors that could have affected the outcome of what was a close competition. The GAO recommended the Pentagon redo the bidding process.
That is good news for American workers, it's good news for our national security, and it is good news for our economy.
Among the findings, that the Air Force did not follow its own evaluation criteria in making the decision. The European team should not have earned points for offering a large-size Airbus 330 refueling plane because that was not what the Pentagon requested. Boeing did not receive credit for offering more technical requirements than its competitor when it should have. And the Air Force made errors calculating the cost of the planes over their life cycles. When corrected, Boeing's 767 cost less.
It seems that the Air Force, in this case, was clearly putting its thumb on the scale in favor of Airbus.
Boeing, in a statement, said, quote, "We welcome and support today's ruling by the GAO, fully sustaining the grounds of our protest." Northrop Grumman saying, quote, "We continue to believe that Northrop Grumman offered the most modern and capable tanker for our men and women in uniform. We will review the GAO findings before commenting further."
The Air Force released a statement late this afternoon saying it's currently reviewing the GAO's decision. Now, once the review is complete, the Air Force says it will be in a position to determine the best course of action, but the Pentagon must make a decision sometime within the next 60 days. Lou?
The Pentagon is completely, not to mix metaphors with the Air Force, completely at sea in this bidding process, in this conclusion, because fundamentally, the Air Force should be making these decisions on the basis of national security, in addition to the economics of the bidding and the construction specifications. This is on its face stupid. We have been maintaining that from the moment it was announced by the U.S. Air Force. By the way, we should point out the Air Force Secretary Michael Wynne is no longer heading the Air Force, having been fired by Defense Secretary Bob Gates for, among other things, permitting 6 nuclear weapons to be transited across this country without anyone knowing it.
Well, Lou, I can tell you that lawmakers want this entire procurement process reviewed, not just in this particular case, but with other instances, because they say, look, if this is just one example of a flawed process, what do we not know about? And you mentioned other things, for instance, the outsourcing of jobs, the subsidies that the Europeans are giving. They say that that should be factored into the decision as well, Lou.
Without question. And again, there should be no way in the world that anyone should be able to tip the scales in favor of a company working that's subsidized by the European Union to build these aircraft, and at the same time, I mean, why would not the Air Force, just rhetorically speaking here, Lisa, why would not the Air Force bring together Boeing and Northrop Grumman to build this aircraft? That would be the sensible approach, but it is one that eludes Washington, D.C. these days. Lisa, thank you very much, and I have to say the General Accountability Office deserves great credit for bringing accountability to this process, at least some light beginning to shine in one dark corner of the nation's capital. Lisa, thank you. Lisa Sylvester. An independent report finds Boeing would create twice as many jobs, by the way, as Northrop Grumman if awarded the U.S. Air Force tanker contract. The Economic Policy Institute says Boeing would support 28,000 jobs at its plants, and that compares to 14,000 new jobs at Northrop Grumman, that plant based in Alabama. The GAO ruling, of course, is a victory for the state of Washington, where much of Boeing's manufacturing is based. Later here, we'll be talking with one of the biggest critics of the air tanker deal. Senator Patty Murray of Washington joins me. And even as a nation at war, we are becoming increasingly dependent upon foreign countries for our national defense. The British and Italians are building the new fleet of presidential helicopters, including Marine One, that will carry the president. The $6 billion project is also now over budget and overdue. America's Sikorsky had built Marine One since the days of President Dwight David Eisenhower. The Army's new multi-purpose helicopter, the UH-72, is also being built by the Europeans. Even handguns carried by troops are no longer American-made. Italy's Beretta is now standard issue, but at least they are made in the United States. And apparently we can't even produce our own bullets anymore. In 2004, the U.S. Army contracted with an Israeli company to make small caliber ammunition.